The shovel hit Lucas Kim square in the chest. Don't worry, this time it's not a real shovel, just the verbal kind delivered by an 8-year-old with perfect comedic timing. Actually, Elijah Ashford said, adjusting his backpack with the confidence of someone who'd done this before, calling someone poor when your designer backpack is counterfeit is what we call ironic. Lucas Kim, 12 years old, expensive haircut, even more expensive attitude, had been in the middle of bullying and tormenting a smaller boy whose father worked as a janitor at their international school in Seoul. The cafeteria had gone quiet, that particular kind of silence that happens right before something memorable occurs. Isaiah Ashford, Elijah's twin brother, stepped up beside him. They were identical in height and build, both with beautiful medium brown skin that caught the afternoon light streaming through the cafeteria windows, and black hair with soft, natural waves that their mother kept neatly trimmed. But anyone who knew them could tell them apart instantly. Elijah was the facts and logic twin, while Isaiah was the one who'd make you laugh while he intellectually destroyed you. Oh my god, wait, Korean Elon Musk's backpack is fake? That's impossible, he's worth $1 trillion. Isaiah asked, tilting his head with genuine curiosity that somehow made it worse. The stitching on authentic Louis Vuitton is perfectly symmetrical. His is off by approximately 3 millimeters on the left side. Also, the monogram canvas pattern should align at the seams. His doesn't. Lucas's face went red. You don't know anything, nerd. You don't know what you're talking about. Well, we read a lot. Surprise, Isaiah said cheerfully. Mom says knowledge is power. You should try it sometime. He paused, then added with devastating innocence, reading, I mean. We're not sure about the power part in your case.
Several students snickered. Lucas's friends, 2 other wealthy boys who'd been enjoying the show until 30 seconds ago, were now trying very hard to become invisible. You know what your real problem is? Lucas stepped forward, trying to use his height advantage. You're just... Careful, Elijah interrupted calmly. Whatever you're about to say, remember that this cafeteria has security cameras with audio recording, and verbal harassment is a violation of the Student Conduct Code, Section 4.2, subsection B. Lucas faltered. I wasn't. You were, Isaiah said. You called Min-jun trash because his dad is a janitor. You said he smells like cleaning products. You told him he doesn't belong here. His voice lost its playful edge. That's 3 separate violations. Would you like us to quote the consequences, or would you prefer to apologize and walk away? The silence stretched. Lucas looked around, realizing that half the cafeteria was now watching, including 2 teachers who'd been drawn by the commotion. Lucas swallowed hard. I'm sorry, okay? Min-jun, I'm sorry. That's a start, Elijah said. Now maybe think about why you felt the need to hurt someone just because they're different from you. Our mom says bullies are usually just scared people who forgot how to be kind. Lucas and his friends practically ran out of the cafeteria. Min-jun, the janitor's son, looked up at the twins with tears still wet on his cheeks. Thank you. You didn't have to do that. Yes, we did, Isaiah said simply. Nobody gets to be mean to people we have lunch with. Before we continue, can I ask you something real quick? I'm trying to figure out where people who love good stories are watching from these days. Like, are you team phone in bed, team laptop at work, or team living room TV? Drop a comment and let me know where in the world you're watching this from, because I'm curious if anyone's actually using those tablet things anymore. And I also want to know where in the world I should send my Valentine's gifts. And hey, if you're enjoying these kids already, trust me, they're just getting started. Hit that subscribe button. You're going to want to see what happens next. Now, let's continue.
Mrs. Kim Mira, the head teacher, had watched the entire exchange from the cafeteria doorway. She was 58 years old, had been teaching for nearly 4 decades, and had seen perhaps 3 students in her entire career with the kind of natural intelligence and emotional wisdom that Elijah and Isaiah Ashford displayed daily. She caught Veronica Ashford's eye across the cafeteria. The twins' mother was supervising her own lunch period and shared a knowing smile.
Veronica Ashford was 34, with deep brown skin that seemed to glow even under the harsh fluorescent lights. Her natural hair pulled back in an elegant bun that somehow looked both professional and effortlessly beautiful. She wore a simple navy dress and modest heels, the kind of outfit that said, "I'm a serious educator," while still managing to turn heads. She'd been watching her sons handle the situation, and the pride on her face was unmistakable, though she'd talk to them later about the fake backpack comment. That was maybe a bridge too far. "Your boys," Mrs. Kim said when Veronica joined her a moment later, "are going to change the world someday." "They're going to give me gray hair first," Veronica replied, but she was smiling. "Did you hear the part about the security cameras? Where did they even learn about student conduct codes?" "They read the entire school handbook during their first week," Mrs. Kim said. "I found Elijah in the library with it. He'd memorized the disciplinary procedures." "Of course he had," Veronica shook her head, torn between exasperation and amusement. "And Isaiah?" "Isaiah memorized the lunch menu so he'd know which days to convince his brother to buy extra dessert." Mrs. Kim laughed. "They're perfect, Veronica. Different kinds of smart, but both brilliant."
The afternoon classes passed in their usual blur of conjugating verbs and discussing Shakespeare. Veronica taught advanced English literature to the high school students, and today they were deep into Othello, discussing themes of jealousy and perception versus reality. Her students were engaged, asking thoughtful questions, and she felt that particular satisfaction that came from knowing she was good at what she did. Teaching had never been a backup plan for Veronica. It had been the plan, the dream, the purpose. She'd earned her master's in education from Yale, had taught in prestigious schools across America, and had moved to Seoul 3 years ago specifically because this international school had offered her the position of English department head. Also because Seoul was in South Korea, and South Korea was where he'd been from. She pushed that thought away, as she'd done 10,000 times over the past 9 years. Daniel Kim, if that had even been his real name, was ancient history. A mistake, a 3-month whirlwind romance in Los Angeles that had ended with him disappearing without a word and her discovering 2 weeks later that she was pregnant with twins. She'd tried to find him. God have mercy, how she'd tried. But Daniel Kim in Los Angeles returned about 50,000 search results, and none of them were the man she'd loved, the man who'd said he loved her, the man who'd left anyway. The twins never asked about their father anymore. They had when they were younger, all children did, but Veronica's answer had always been the same. "He didn't know about you. If he had, I'd think he would have stayed. But he didn't, and we're okay anyway. We're better than okay. We're us."
And they were. They were brilliant and funny and kind, and they were hers, and that was enough. It had to be enough. The school day ended at 3:30, and Veronica was gathering her materials when Mrs. Kim appeared in her classroom doorway looking uncharacteristically flustered. "Yoon Se-yeon is here," she said, and her tone suggested this was not good news. Veronica looked up. "The philanthropist?" "Philanthropist," Mrs. Kim repeated with audible quotation marks. "She's here with a camera crew for another one of her charity donations. English books this time, apparently. She wants to do the presentation in the courtyard in 20 minutes. Veronica had heard of Yoon Se-yeon, of course. Everyone in Seoul had. She was 32, beautiful in that careful, constructed way that spoke of excellent plastic surgeons and even better stylists. And she was engaged to Han Si-ho, the reclusive billionaire CEO of Crescendo Entertainment, who'd been in a coma for almost a year after some kind of attack. Se-yeon had spent that year playing the devoted fiancé in public, doing charity work in his name, keeping his company's image spotless while he recovered. The tabloids loved her. Regular people were more skeptical. There was something too polished about Yoon Se-yeon, something that didn't quite ring true. "Do we have to attend?" Veronica asked. "All staff should be present, unfortunately." 20 minutes later, Veronica stood in the school courtyard with her colleagues, watching 3 black Mercedes sedans pull up to the main entrance. Camera crews poured out first. This was charity mixed with photo opportunity, followed by several assistants, and finally, Yoon Se-yeon herself.
She was wearing a cream-colored Chanel suit that probably cost more than Veronica made in 3 hard-working months. Her long black hair styled in perfect waves, her makeup camera-ready, her smile practiced and bright. She held a microphone and moved with the confidence of someone who'd done this 100 times before. "Thank you all so much for having me," Soyeon said, her voice projecting across the courtyard. "Education is the foundation of our future, and I'm honored to donate these English literature texts to your wonderful school. As the fiancé of Han Siho, CEO of Crescendo Entertainment, I believe it's our responsibility to give back to the community, to help nurture young minds." Veronica tuned out the rehearsed speech. She'd heard versions of it before. Wealthy people congratulating themselves for doing the bare minimum while cameras rolled. The students were assembled politely, looking appropriately grateful, while teachers clapped at the appropriate moments. Then, Soyeon's eyes landed on Veronica. It was just a moment, just a flicker of attention, but Veronica saw something shift in the other woman's expression. Interest, assessment, and something else. Something that looked almost like threat response. Soyeon finished her speech, posed for photos with students and teachers, and then made her way directly toward Veronica with the purposefulness of a guided missile. "Hello," Soyeon said, extending a perfectly manicured hand. "I don't think we've met. Yoon Soyeon. Veronica Ashford." She shook the offered hand. "I'm the English department head." "English department head," Soyeon repeated, and her smile remained fixed, but her eyes went sharper. "How wonderful. Teaching must be so rewarding. I could never do such humble work."
There it was, the subtle condescension, delivered with a smile. "It takes a certain kind of person," Veronica said evenly. "Not everyone has the patience or the intelligence for it." Sion's smile tightened microscopically. "Indeed. And you're American?" "Yes." "And how long have you been in Seoul?" 3 years. "And you teach high school students?" "Advanced literature, Shakespeare, contemporary fiction, poetry, critical analysis." "Fascinating." Sion's tone suggested it was anything but. "I'm sure the students are very lucky to—" "Mom!" Both women turned. Elijah and Isaiah were running across the courtyard, backpacks bouncing, their faces lit up with the uncomplicated joy of 8-year-olds seeing their favorite person. They reached Veronica and immediately started talking over each other about their day. Something about a science project and a debate in history class, and did she know that the cafeteria was serving their favorite mandu tomorrow? Veronica listened, smiling, one hand resting on each twin's shoulder. She could feel Sion's eyes on them, could feel the exact moment the other woman registered that these were her children. "These are your—" Sion's voice trailed off. "My sons," Veronica said, and there was steel under the warmth. "Elijah and Isaiah." The twins, belatedly noticing they had an audience, turned to look at Sion with identical expressions of polite curiosity. "Hello," Elijah said. "Hi," Isaiah added. Sion's smile had gone very fixed. "Hello, boys. What interesting children." "Thank you," Isaiah said cheerfully, missing or ignoring the insult entirely. "We think we're pretty interesting too." "Mixed children," Sion continued, as if they weren't standing right there. "That must be complicated for you, Veronica." Elijah's head tilted. "Complicated how?" Sion looked flustered for the first time. "Oh, you know, culturally, socially. Raising children who were different." "Different from what?" Isaiah asked, and his tone was still cheerful, but Veronica recognized the edge in it. Her boys knew exactly what Sion meant, and they'd already decided they didn't like it. "Well, mixed race," Sion said, lowering her voice as if this were somehow inappropriate to say aloud. "It must present certain challenges. We speak 3 languages. English, Korean, and sarcasm. Would you like us to use the 3rd one?" Several teachers nearby made choking sounds that might have been suppressed laughter. Sion's face went tight. "I meant no offense. I'm sure you're both very clever." "Thank you," Isaiah said.
Our mom taught us that intelligence is universal, but kindness is optional. Some people don't choose it. The silence that followed was deafening. Veronica should probably intervene, should smooth this over, but she was also intensely proud of her sons for standing up for themselves with such devastating politeness. Seon seemed to realize she'd lost this exchange. She changed tactics, her smile returning with calculated warmth. You know, I'm hosting a charity gala next week, a Valentine's Day event. Perhaps you'd like to attend. It would be very educational for the boys. Veronica's instincts screamed trap. That's very kind, but we'd love to come, Isaiah said before she could finish. We've never been to a fancy party. It would be an excellent opportunity for sociological observation, Elijah added, already pulling out his phone to make a note. What time?
Soyeon's smile was pure shark now. 7 o'clock. I'll have my assistant send the details to your mother. It's formal, of course. I do hope you have something appropriate to wear. We'll figure it out, Veronica said, knowing she'd just lost control of this situation entirely. Thank you for the invitation. My pleasure, Soyeon said, and the way she said it made Veronica's skin crawl. I look forward to seeing you there. She walked away, camera crew following, leaving Veronica standing with her twins in the courtyard. Boys, she said quietly, I'm not sure this is a good idea. Mom, we'll be fine, Isaiah promised. Plus, free fancy food. And it really will be good sociological research, Elijah said. We're studying social class dynamics in our world cultures unit. Veronica looked down at their earnest, brilliant faces and felt her resolve crumbling. They were 8. They shouldn't have to be this smart, this aware of the world's cruelties, but they were, and she'd taught them to be, and now they wanted to go to a party thrown by a woman who just barely managed not to call them inferior to their faces. Okay, she heard herself say, we'll go, but we leave the moment anyone makes you uncomfortable. Deal? Deal, they chorused. Mrs. Kim appeared at Veronica's elbow once the twins had run off to catch their bus. That, she said quietly, was a setup. I know. She's planning something. I know. And you're going anyway? Veronica watched her sons laughing with their friends by the bus line, bright and unbothered and beautiful. They want to go, and I trust them to handle whatever she throws at them. The question, Mrs. Kim said, is whether she's ready to handle them.
Across Seoul, in a private wing of the city's most exclusive hospital, Han Si-ho sat in a chair by the window and watched the city lights blink to life as evening fell. He'd been awake for 2 months. 2 months of physical therapy and doctor's appointments, and slowly, painfully regaining the strength he'd lost during a year in a coma. 2 months of discovering that his life had been completely rearranged without his consent. David Park, his head of security and possibly his only real friend, sat across from him with a tablet. Your mother called again. She wants to know when you'll make your first public appearance. Tell her I'm not ready, Si-ho said, which was what he'd been saying for 2 months. She says the board is getting restless. So-yeon can't keep running interference forever. Si-ho's jaw tightened at his fiancée's name. Fiancée. He'd woken up from a coma to discover that his mother had arranged his engagement while he was unconscious, had promised him to a woman he barely knew, because her family's political connections could protect the company after the assassination attempt. Seon had played the devoted, almost wife beautifully for the cameras, had kept Crescendo Entertainment's stock prices stable, had been everything his mother said the company needed. What she hadn't been was someone Si-ho had chosen. Someone Si-ho loved. Someone Si-ho even particularly liked. David, he said quietly, how do I break an engagement I never agreed to? Carefully. Very, very carefully. Seon's family has been helpful. Breaking this off will create problems. I don't care about problems. I care about not spending the rest of my life with someone my mother picked for me like I'm livestock. I understand, but you need to be strategic. David paused. And, sir, there's something else. What?
The engagement won't be the only problem. Your mother has been making decisions about the company while you were incapacitated. The board has gotten used to her running things through Soyeon. They're not going to give that power back easily.
Seho closed his eyes. This was his life now, trapped by duty and family obligation and expectations that had never once cared what he actually wanted. It had been the same 10 years ago, when his father's heart attack had dragged him away from the life he'd been building in Los Angeles, away from music production work that made him happy, away from... He stopped that thought before it could finish. Whatever happened there was ancient history, a beautiful, painful memory of the life he could have been if he'd had the courage to choose himself instead of his family. But he hadn't. And now here he was, engaged to a woman he didn't love, running a company he didn't care about, living a life that didn't feel like his. "Sir?" David's voice was gentle. "Are you all right?" "No," Seho said honestly. "But I will be. I have to be." He looked down at the old photograph on the table beside him, the one he'd kept hidden, even from David. A woman's face smiled up at him from a decade ago, younger and happier, before he'd broken his heart. He'd searched for her. Lord, how he'd searched. But a first name with no last name in a city of millions had proven impossible to find. He'd given up eventually, had tried to move on, and had failed at that too. "Schedule a board meeting. 2 weeks from now. It's time I reminded everyone who actually runs this company. Your mother won't like that." "My mother," Seho said, "doesn't get a vote anymore."
The Valentine's Day Gala was held in the ballroom of one of Seoul's most exclusive hotels, the kind of place where the chandeliers cost more than houses and the champagne was older than most of the guests. Veronica stood in the entrance with her sons, intensely aware that her simple black dress from an outlet mall and the twins' department store suits were not going to cut it here. "Mom," Isaiah whispered, "are those ice sculptures?" "Yes," she whispered back. "They're melting wrong," Elijah observed. "The structural integrity is compromised at the base. Someone's going to have a puddle problem in approximately 47 minutes. Let's maybe not mention that," Veronica suggested. The ballroom was full of Seoul's elite, politicians, business executives, socialites, and designer gowns that cost more than Veronica's annual salary. A string quartet played in one corner. Waiters circulated with champagne and hors d'oeuvres, and in the center of it all, holding court in a red Valentino dress that looked like it had been painted onto her body, was Yoon So-young. She spotted them immediately and glided over with 3 women in tow. "Veronica, boys, you came!" Her smile was bright and sharp. "Let me introduce you to my friends, Victoria Choi, Amanda Whitmore, and Lee Da-hee." The 3 women, all beautiful, all wealthy, all wearing expressions that ranged from curious to condescending, gave Veronica and her sons the kind of once-over that was designed to make them feel inadequate. "Charming," Victoria said, and managed to make it sound like an insult. "So these are the children," Amanda added in English, her accent British and posh. "How sweet." Veronica felt her sons tense on either side of her, but before she could say anything, Sion was already ushering them further into the party, positioning them near her friends like specimens on display.
"So, boys," Victoria said loudly enough that nearby guests turned to look, "I suppose you don't get to attend events like this very often?" "No, ma'am," Isaiah said politely. "This is our first gala." "How precious," Victoria continued, and Veronica recognized the setup happening. "These children is so adorable, aren't they?" There was a pause, a long, loaded pause. Then Elijah said, very gently, "Are. These children are so adorable. Subject-verb agreement, ma'am." The silence that followed was spectacular. Victoria's face went red. Amanda made a choking sound. Da-hee suddenly became very interested in her champagne glass. "It's okay," Isaiah added with devastating cheerfulness. "It's a common mistake. Our mom teaches us that grammar is important for clear communication." "Did that child just correct my grammar?" Victoria hissed to So-yin. "Well," Amanda tried to save her friend, "English isn't everyone's first language." "Actually," Elijah interrupted, still perfectly polite, "statistically, grammar errors are more common among native speakers due to overconfidence in their linguistic abilities." A man nearby, genuinely amused, started clapping. Then another guest joined in. Then more. Within seconds, a small crowd had gathered, clearly entertained by watching 2 8-year-olds intellectually dismantle adults at a formal event. So-yen's smile had frozen on her face. She tried to recover by steering them towards the string quartet. "Boys, I don't suppose you know much about classical music."
"We know some," Elijah said modestly. "This is Vivaldi's Spring from the Four Seasons. Very sophisticated, very complex." Isaiah tilted his head, listening. Then he exchanged a look with his brother. "Actually," Isaiah said, "that's Pachelbel's canon in D."
The quartet's conductor, who'd been taking a water break nearby, nodded. The young man is correct. Seon's face went through several interesting color changes. I knew that. I was testing them. Vivaldi's Spring is in E major, with distinctive solo violin passages, Elijah explained to the growing crowd. This is D major, much simpler harmonic structure. Pachelbel did influence later Baroque composers, though, so it's an easy mistake if you're not listening carefully. "Do you boys study music?" the conductor asked, genuinely interested now. "Our mom plays classical music while she grades papers," Seon said. "We just pick things up. Plus, we read a lot," Elijah added. "Mom says knowledge is power." "Remarkable," the conductor said. "Simply remarkable. What are your names?" "Elijah and Isaiah Ashford." "Well, Elijah and Isaiah Ashford, you've just made this party infinitely more interesting." Seon was seething now, her careful composure cracking. Veronica could see the calculation happening behind her eyes. This wasn't going to according to plan. The twins were supposed to be embarrassed, out of their depth, a cautionary tale about people who didn't belong in places like this. Instead, they were charming a room full of wealthy, educated people by being exactly what they were: brilliant, funny, and completely secure in themselves. "Veronica," Seon said, loud enough to draw attention, "you must be so proud. Despite your circumstances, you've raised such clever boys." "Here it comes," Veronica thought. "Thank you," she said evenly. "I mean, being a single mother, working on a teacher's salary, living in— where did you say you lived?" "I didn't." Veronica's voice stayed level. "But we have an apartment in Sadaman. It's comfortable." "I'm sure it's lovely," Seon said, in a tone that suggested it absolutely was not. "It must be difficult, though, providing for them, giving them opportunities."
This was the moment the public shaming Soyeon had been building toward. But before Veronica could respond, Elijah stepped forward. "Our mom provides everything we need," he said clearly. Isaiah joined his brother. "She teaches us, feeds us, loves us, makes us laugh. What else is there?" "Well," Soyeon said, "opportunities, connections. Wealth opens doors that—" "Wealth opens doors," Elijah interrupted, still polite but firm. "But intelligence opens minds. And our mom always says," Isaiah added, "that people who look down on others are just scared of looking up at them." A guest nearby started laughing, then applauding, then more joined in, and suddenly the entire corner of the room was clapping for two 8-year-old boys who just delivered a lesson in human dignity to some of Seoul's wealthiest people. Soyeon's face was crimson. "That's very sweet, but in the real world," Elijah said, "kindness matters more than money." "Also," Isaiah added with perfect timing, "you mispronounced philanthropy 4 times in your opening speech. It's philanthropy, not philanthropy, just for future reference." Dead silence. Then Victoria burst out laughing, actual, genuine laughter. "Oh my God, Soyeon, you did! Philanthropy!" She mimicked Soyeon's pronunciation, and Amanda joined in, and suddenly Soyeon's own friends were laughing at her, not with her. Soyeon looked like she wanted the floor to swallow her whole. "How clever!" she managed. "You boys are so smart. You just need a little polishing on social graces." "Polishing is for shoes, ma'am," Elijah said, his 8-year-old face the picture of innocent helpfulness. "People need education."
The laughter that followed was impossible to contain. Even the waiters were smiling. Veronica watched her sons, these incredible small humans she'd created, and felt a surge of love so powerful it almost hurt. Soyeon excused herself with what little dignity she had left, and the party continued around them. The twins were immediately surrounded by guests wanting to talk to them, asking about their school and their interests, and marveling at their intelligence. Veronica stood back, letting them shine. "Miss Ashford," she turned to find a woman in her 60s, elegant and sharp-eyed, holding a glass of wine. "I'm Professor Jung from Seoul National University, Literature Department." "Oh," Veronica said, recognizing the name. "I've read your work on contemporary Korean fiction, and I've just been thoroughly impressed by your sons," Professor Jung smiled. "They're remarkable. You should be very proud." "I am. I notice they're at an international school. Have you considered specialized programs, gifted education?" "We're happy where we are. They need to be kids, too, not just brains." "Wise," Professor Jung said. "But if you ever change your mind, I'd be happy to discuss options. Intelligence like that is rare." Before Veronica could respond, Soyeon was back, her composure restored and her smile firmly in place. "Veronica, could I speak with you for a moment, privately?" Every instinct screamed no, but refusing would cause a scene, and Veronica was trying very hard not to cause scenes. "Boys, stay here. I'll be right back." Soyeon led her to a quieter corner of the ballroom. When they were out of earshot of the crowd, her mask dropped entirely. "You think you're so clever, don't you? Coming here with your little performing monkeys, making me look foolish?" "My sons," Veronica said coldly, "are not performing monkeys. They're just smart. That's not their fault, and it's certainly not mine. They humiliated me. They answered your questions honestly. If that humiliated you, maybe you should examine your questions."
Soyeon's eyes narrowed. "You have no idea who you're dealing with. A woman who invites people to a party specifically to belittle them?" Veronica suggested. "Yes, actually, I think I do. I was trying to be kind. I thought your boys could use some exposure to proper society." "Proper society," Veronica repeated. "Is that what this is? Because from where I'm standing, it looks like a bunch of wealthy people congratulating themselves for existing. How dare you?" "I dare," Veronica said quietly, "because I don't need your approval or your charity or your fake kindness. My sons are brilliant and good, and they will be those things whether or not people like you validate them. So thank you for the invitation, but I think we'll be leaving now." She turned to go, but Soyeon's voice stopped her. "Wait, Veronica, I apologize." The words sounded like they physically hurt her. "I overreacted. Your boys are impressive. I was embarrassed and I lashed out. That was wrong of me." Veronica turned back, suspicious. "In fact," Soyeon continued, her smile returning, "I'd like to make it up to you. Come to my home next week, just you and the boys. I'm thinking of starting an educational foundation, and I'd love your input, your boys' input too. No cameras, no pressure, just a conversation." Every alarm bell in Veronica's head went off at once, but before she could refuse, she heard Isaiah's excited voice. "Really? We could help with a foundation?" The twins had appeared at her elbow, eyes bright with interest. "It would be excellent research for our social studies project," Elijah added.
Soyeon's smile widened. "See, the boys are interested. Please, Veronica, let me prove I'm not the monster you think I am." Veronica looked at her sons' eager faces, then at Soyeon's carefully calculated expression, and made a choice she knew she'd probably regret. "Okay," she said, "one visit, but the moment anyone feels uncomfortable, we leave." "Of course," Soyeon said smoothly. "I wouldn't have it any other way." Hey, quick question. If you're still watching, drop a comment and tell me if you saw this trap coming, or if you're yelling at your screen right now, because I'm pretty sure half of you are screaming, "Don't go to that house," and the other half are trusting those kids to handle whatever comes next. Either way, smash that like button if you're invested in this story, because we're about to get to the good part. Now let's continue. The week between the gala and the mansion visit passed in a blur of regular life. The twins went to school, destroyed 2 more bullies with their particular brand of polite devastation, and excitedly researched what rich people's houses look like on the internet. Veronica taught her classes, graded papers, and tried to ignore the growing sense of unease in her gut. On Thursday afternoon, they pulled up to Yoon Soyeon's mansion in Gangnam in their modest sedan that was definitely not a Mercedes. The house, if you could call something that large a house, was modern and massive, all glass and clean lines in the kind of architecture that screamed, "I have more money than taste." A housekeeper greeted them at the door and led them through rooms that looked like magazine spreads. Everything was white and chrome and obviously expensive. Isaiah kept whispering calculations under his breath about square footage and utility costs until Elijah elbowed him to stop.
Seoyeon appeared in the main living room wearing cream-colored Chanel and a smile that looked almost genuine. "Welcome. I'm so glad you came. Please, sit. Can I get you anything? Tea? Juice for the boys?" "We're fine," Veronica said, perching on the edge of a couch that probably cost more than her car. "So," Seoyeon settled into a chair across from them, "I wanted to talk to you about this education foundation. I've been thinking a lot about what your boys said at the gala, about kindness mattering more than money. It was very thought-provoking." "We meant it," Isaiah said. "I'm sure you did." Seoyeon's smile stayed fixed. "Tell me, boys, what are your academic interests? What do you want to study?" "Science, mathematics, literature. History," Isaiah added. "Languages, music." "Wonderful," Seoyeon clapped her hands together. "You know, with proper guidance, proper resources, you could achieve so much, perhaps even more than your mother could provide alone." There it was, the subtle dig. Veronica felt her spine straighten, but before she could respond, Elijah spoke. "Our mom provides everything important." "Of course," Seoyeon said quickly. "I didn't mean to suggest otherwise. I just meant that sometimes children benefit from additional opportunities. Private tutors, international programs, the kind of things that require certain financial resources." "Our mom is a Yale graduate," Isaiah said. "She's smarter than most people we know." "I'm sure she's very intelligent," Seoyeon said in a tone that suggested she thought no such thing. "But intelligence isn't everything, is it? There's also access, connections, the right social circles." "Why?" Elijah asked, and he sounded genuinely curious. "If you're smart and work hard, why do you need connections?"
Sion blinked. "Well, because that's how the world works. That's how your world works," Isaiah said. "Our mom's world works on merit." How idealistic. Sion's smile had gone sharp. "Tell me about your charity work, boys. Do you volunteer? Donate? Give back to the community? Our mom volunteers at a homeless shelter every Saturday. We go with her sometimes." "How nice," Sion said. "I've donated to 47 charities this year." "Do you work with them directly?" Isaiah asked. "Well, no, I write checks." "Oh," Isaiah glanced at his brother. "So you give money but don't actually help people yourself?" Sion's expression tightened. "Writing checks is helping. Our mom says real charity is time, not just money," Elijah said. "She says anyone can write a check, but showing up takes commitment." "Not everyone has time," Sion snapped. "Some of us run foundations, manage multiple charitable initiatives." "What does your foundation do?" Isaiah interrupted. "Various initiatives. Education, arts, cultural preservation." "Like what specifically?" Elijah pressed. "Well, I fund scholarships." "How many students have you personally met?" Isaiah asked. "I'm very busy." "So you don't actually know if your money helps?" Elijah's face showed genuine confusion. "How do you measure impact?" Veronica saw Sion's jaw clench. "Boys, not everyone expresses charity the same way. Some people prefer to work behind the scenes." "That's true," Isaiah conceded, "but usually when people talk about their charity work as much as you do in your speeches, it means they do want credit for it. So it seems weird to not also know who you're helping." The silence that followed was profound. Sion looked like she was trying to swallow broken glass while smiling. "You know what?" she said, standing abruptly. "I just remembered I need to make a phone call. Excuse me for a moment. Please, make yourselves comfortable."
She left the room, and Veronica immediately turned to her sons. "Boys, you need to be more careful." "But Mom, we were just asking questions," Elijah protested. "Is it rude to want to understand things?" Isaiah added. "No," Veronica said, "but sometimes truth makes people uncomfortable, and when you make powerful people uncomfortable, they can make your life difficult." "She invited us here," Elijah pointed out logically. "If she didn't want to talk about her charity work, why did she bring it up?" Veronica had no good answer to that. In her private study, So-yeon was on the phone, her voice low and furious. "Yes, I need you to come to the house. No, tonight. Bring the police. I'm going to teach that woman a lesson she'll never forget." She hung up and retrieved a small velvet box from her safe. Inside was a diamond earring worth approximately $50,000, one of a pair she'd received as a gift from a designer desperate for her endorsement. She put one earring in her ear and held the other in her palm, studying it. This was going to work perfectly. When she returned to the living room, her smile was back in place. "I'm so sorry about that. Business never sleeps, as they say. Now, where were we?" They made awkward conversation for another 30 minutes. So-yeon asked about their school, their hobbies, their dreams for the future. She was perfectly pleasant, perfectly engaged, and Veronica's unease grew with every passing minute. This woman had been humiliated at her own party and had responded by inviting them to her house. That didn't make sense unless she was planning something. Finally, So-yeon glanced at her watch. "Oh my, is it that late? I'm afraid I have another commitment, but I'm so glad we had this time together."
She walked him towards the door, and in the foyer, Veronica reached for her coat from where a housekeeper had hung it when they'd arrived. "Wait," Se-yeon's voice was sharp. "My earring, it's missing." She touched her ear dramatically. "I was wearing both when you arrived, and now one is gone." "I'm sure it's somewhere," Veronica started. "In the sitting room. Search it now," Se-yeon snapped at her housekeepers. They scrambled to obey, while Veronica watched in growing confusion. The housekeepers searched thoroughly and returned empty-handed. "It's not there, ma'am." Se-yeon's eyes landed on Veronica. "The only people in that room were us. You can't possibly think." Veronica felt cold dread settling in her stomach. "I don't want to think anything," Se-yeon said, her voice dripping with false reluctance, "but that earring is worth $50,000. Perhaps we should check everyone's belongings, just to be thorough." "Absolutely not," Veronica said. "I'm not a thief." "Then you won't mind if we look." Se-yeon's smile was poison. "Our mom would never steal anything," Elijah said, his voice shaking. "She's the most honest person we know," Isaiah added, tears starting in his eyes. "I'm sure she is," Se-yeon said sweetly, "so let's just clear this up quickly." She gestured to a housekeeper who approached Veronica's coat hanging by the door. The woman reached into the pocket and pulled out a diamond earring. Gasps echoed through the foyer. The housekeepers looked shocked. Veronica felt like the floor had dropped out from under her. "I didn't." Her voice came out strangled. "I didn't put that there. I would never." "Mom!" Both twins were crying now, clinging to her. "Mom didn't do it. She didn't." "I think," Se-yeon said coldly, "we need to call the police." "Please," Isaiah begged. "Check the cameras. You have cameras everywhere." "The cameras in the sitting room are being serviced," Se-yeon said, and the triumph in her voice made Veronica sick. "Convenient, isn't it? But the evidence speaks for itself."
Security guards appeared. Where'd they come from? And surrounded them. Veronica held her sobbing sons and tried to breathe through the panic. This was happening. This was actually happening. She was about to be arrested for theft in front of her children, and there was nothing she could do to stop it. "I'm telling you, I didn't take it." Her voice broke. "I don't know how it got there, but I didn't." "Please," Elijah was sobbing. "Our mom teaches us to never lie. She would never steal. Please." The front door opened. Everyone froze. David Park entered, followed by a man using a cane, and Veronica's entire world tilted sideways. The man was tall, gaunt, clearly still recovering from some kind of illness or injury. He wore elegant casual clothes that screamed wealth even in their simplicity. His hair was dark and perfectly styled, his features sharp and handsome, his presence commanding despite the cane. But none of that mattered, because Veronica knew that face. She'd kissed that face. She'd loved that face. She'd spent 10 years hating that face. "Daniel?" she whispered, and everything else in the room disappeared. The man, but his name wasn't Daniel, was it, stared back at her with equal shock. "Siho, what are you doing out of bed?" Seon started, but he held up one hand. "David, what's happening here?" David Park, his security chief, stepped forward. "Sir, there's been an accusation of theft." "Theft of what?" "An earring, sir. $50,000. Miss Yoon claims it was stolen by—" David gestured at Veronica.
But Siho wasn't looking at David. He was staring at Veronica like she was a ghost. "You," he said, and his voice was rough with shock. You lied to me." Veronica found her voice, found her rage, found 10 years of abandonment and heartbreak.
"Daniel Kim? That wasn't even your real name?"
"Veronica, I can explain."
"You used a fake name? You disappeared. You left me."
Tears streamed down her face now.
"Do you have any idea?"
"Mom?" Isaiah's voice was small and scared.
"Who is he?"
"Why are you crying?" Elijah added, equally terrified. And that's when Siho looked down, really looked at the twins for the first time. Veronica watched him see it, watched the exact moment he registered their faces, their eyes, their features, watched the math happen in his head. "How old are they?" he asked, barely breathing. "Don't!" Veronica's voice was steel. "You don't get to ask that." "Veronica, how old?" "8," she shouted. "They're 8 years old, and you weren't there. You left." Siho looked like she'd shot him. His face went white, his grip on the cane tightening until his knuckles showed. "I didn't know. Veronica, I swear to God, I didn't know." "Someone," Sung Yan's voice cut through the moment like a knife, "explain what the hell is happening right now." "Siho," Siho said, his voice flat with authority, "pull all security footage, now." "The sitting room cameras are down," Sung Yan protested. "But the hallway cameras aren't. Neither are the kitchen cameras." David was already on his tablet. "Security, I need footage from the last 2 hours, all angles." "Siho, this is ridiculous." "Quiet," Siho snapped at his fiancée, and the command in his voice made her physically recoil.
David found the footage, pulled it up, and the entire room watched as the tablet showed in perfect clarity Yoon So-yeon taking an earring from her own jewelry box. So-yeon's housekeeper, clearly following orders, slipping the earring into Veronica's coat pocket, while Veronica was distracted in the kitchen. The silence that followed was absolute. "You framed her," Siho said, and his voice was ice. "You invited her here, you set her up, you planted evidence, and you were about to have her arrested in front of her children." Her children embarrassed me." So-yeon's composure cracked completely. "They made me look like a fool at my own party. She thinks she's better than me with her stupid teaching job and her mixed-race brats." The slap echoed through the foyer. Not from Siho, from Isaiah. The 8-year-old had stepped forward and slapped So-yeon across the face with all the force his small body could muster. "Don't," he said, tears streaming down his face. "Don't call our mom names. Don't call us names. We didn't do anything to you." "You were just mean," Elijah added, also crying. "We thought you wanted to help us. We thought you were nice." So-yeon stood there, hand to her reddening cheek, and for the first time looked genuinely shaken. "Get out," Siho said quietly. "What?" "Get out of my house. This is my house. Your mother gave it to me when we got engaged." "My mother doesn't own this house. I do. Your name isn't on the deed. I let you stay here during my recovery because I was too weak to fight about it. That's over now. David, escort Miss Yoon out. She has 1 hour to collect her personal items. Everything else stays." "You can't."
I can, and I'm also ending our engagement, effective immediately. Your mother arranged this. Your family. We'll deal with it. Siho's voice was final. You framed an innocent woman. You planned to have her arrested. You traumatized her children. You used a charity gala to humiliate people you deemed beneath you. You're cruel, So-yeon, and I won't spend 1 more second of my life pretending otherwise.
David Park was already moving towards Soyeon. She tried to appeal to him. "David, you know this is insane." "Ma'am," David said politely, "you have 1 hour. I suggest you start packing." As Soyeon was escorted out, still protesting, Siho turned to Veronica. The rage had drained from his face, leaving only devastation. "Can we talk?" he asked quietly. "Please?" Veronica looked at her sons, who were clinging to her and staring at this stranger who seemed to mean something to their mother. "Boys," she said gently, "go with Mr. Park. Wait in that room there. I need to talk to him, privately." "We don't want to leave you," Isaiah said. "You're upset," Elijah added. "We don't leave you when you're upset. I'll be okay, I promise. Just 5 minutes." The twins reluctantly went with David into a side room, but left the door cracked so they could still see their mother. Siho and Veronica faced each other across the foyer. "I loved you," Siho said, and his voice cracked on the words. 10 years ago, I loved you more than I'd ever loved anyone, and I was a coward. You used a fake name. Why? I'd survived a kidnapping attempt 6 months before we met. My security team insisted I use false identity when I went out alone. Daniel Kim was my cover. I was going to tell you the truth. I was planning to tell you everything and ask you to come to Korea with me and...
And what? My father had a heart attack. I got the call at 3 in the morning. I flew back immediately. He died 2 days later. The company was in crisis. My mother was falling apart. 3,000 employees depended on us. You had to choose them over me, Veronica finished. I understand. I tried to come back. I called your number. It was disconnected. I didn't know your last name, your address, anything. I couldn't find you. I looked for months, but then there was another attempt on my life, and the company nearly collapsed, and I got buried in obligations, and you gave up. Yes, he admitted. I gave up, and I've regretted it every day since. I was pregnant, Veronica said, and watched his face crumble. I found out 2 weeks after you left. I tried to find you too. Daniel Kim in Los Angeles? Do you know how many results that returns? Thousands. I had twins, Siho. Twins. I raised them alone. I was 25 years old and terrified, and I did it anyway. If I had known, would you have come back? Really? Or would your duty to your family have won again? You had no answer to that. They're mine, he said, looking toward the room where the twins waited. Those boys, they're mine. Biologically, yes, but you weren't there. You didn't earn them. Let me, he pleaded. Let me earn them now. Let me be their father. I can't, Veronica cut him off. I can't put them through this. You're a billionaire. You'll have more attempts on your life, more people like Seon, more family pressure. I can't bring my sons into that world. Then I'll leave it, Siho said desperately. I'll step away from the company.
You say that now, but in a month, a year, when your mother calls, when the board needs you, when duty comes calling again, you said it already. 3,000 people depend on you for jobs. Don't be selfish now. I chose wrong 10 years ago, Siho said. I'm choosing differently now. Prove it, Veronica said. Don't tell me, show me. But not with us. We're leaving. Leaving where? Back to America, tonight. We were always planning to go back eventually. This just moves up the timeline. Don't, his voice broke. Please don't take them away from me. Not when I just found them. You don't get to abandon us and then claim us when it's convenient. She walked to the side room and collected her sons. They looked back at Siho with identical expressions of confusion and curiosity. Are you really our dad? Isaiah asked. Siho knelt, bringing himself to their eye level despite how much it clearly hurt him. Yes, I am, and I'm so sorry I wasn't there. Why weren't you? Elijah asked. Because I made a mistake, the biggest mistake of my life, but I want to fix it, if you'll let me. Mom? Isaiah looked up at Veronica. We're leaving, she said firmly. Say goodbye. She took their hands and walked out of the mansion, leaving Siho kneeling in the foyer. Okay, real talk, are you still here? Because if you made it this far, you need to comment right now and tell me if you're Team Veronica, leave his butt behind, or Team Give Him a Chance. And listen, whether you're watching this at 2 in the morning or during your lunch break, hit that like button if this story has you in your feelings. We're almost at the end, and you do not want to miss how this resolves. Let's finish this.
1 week later, Veronica stood in her modest apartment in Los Angeles, watching her sons pack their toys into boxes. They'd left Seoul 2 days after the mansion incident, and she'd found them a temporary furnished apartment while she figured out what came next. Her phone had 73 unread emails, all from Han Seho. She hadn't opened any of them. The boys, however, had different opinions about that. "Mom," Elijah said carefully, "he sent another one today. I saw. He's asking about our day, what we're learning, if we're okay." "That's nice," Veronica said, keeping her voice neutral. "Can we write back?" Isaiah asked. "We might to." Veronica looked at her sons, these brilliant, kind, impossible children who'd inherited the best parts of both their parents. "It's your choice. He's your father. If you want to talk to him, you can." "Will you read them?" Elijah asked. "The emails?" "Only if you want me to." They exchanged one of their twin looks, entire conversations happening without words, and nodded. Isaiah pulled up the latest email on his tablet and began reading aloud. "Dear Elijah and Isaiah, today I stepped down as CEO of my company. My friend David will run it now. I'm keeping the title of chairman, but only because the board insisted. I won't be involved in daily operations anymore. I did this because I spent 10 years letting duty and family obligation control my life. I let it take me away from your mother. I let it keep me from knowing you. I'm not letting it control me anymore. I don't know if your mother will ever forgive me. I don't know if you'll ever want me in your lives, but I'm going to try to be the man you all deserve, even if I never get to show you. I miss you already, even though I barely knew you. Does that make sense? Your father, Seho." Postscript. Isaiah, you were right about Pachelbel. I've been listening to it all week. Postscript. Elijah, I looked up that student conduct code you mentioned. Section 4.2, subsection B, is very thorough. Veronica felt tears pricking her eyes. The boys were already typing a response, their small fingers flying over the keyboard. "What are you telling him?" she asked. "That we miss him too," Isaiah said, "and that we're in Los Angeles now. And that Mom is sad, but she won't talk about it," Elijah added, which earned him a gentle swat on the shoulder. "I'm not sad," Veronica protested weakly. Both boys gave her identical skeptical looks. "You've been crying in the bathroom," Isaiah said. "We hear you," Elijah added. "We just pretend not to, because you pretend not to." God, they were too smart for their own good. "It's complicated, voice. Everything's complicated with adults," Isaiah said, echoing his brother's words from weeks ago. They finished their email and hit send before Veronica could read it. In Seoul, Han Seho sat in his penthouse apartment. He'd moved out of the mansion, couldn't stand being there after what had happened, and refreshed his email for the 100th time that hour. A new message appeared from the twins. He opened it with shaking hands. "Dear Dad, can we call you that? We're in Los Angeles now. Mom got a new teaching job starting next month. Our apartment is smaller than in Seoul, but it has a good view. We miss you too. Mom says missing someone you barely know doesn't make sense, but we think it does. Sometimes you just know people are important, even if you just met them. Mom is sad. She won't say it, but we know. We think she misses you, but she's scared. She says you had to choose between us and your duty. She thinks you'll choose duty again, but you quit your job. That seems like a big choice. We wish we could see you again. But Mom says we need space to think. We don't know how much space or how much thinking. Adults are weird. Love, Elijah and Isaiah." P.S. We told her about the emails. She said we could write to you if we want it. That's good, right? P.P.S. Can you tell us about Seoul? We missed some things about it. P.P.P.P.S. Isaiah says P.P.P.S. is excessive, but I disagree. Elijah. Seho laughed through his tears. These boys. His boys. They were perfect. He was in the middle of writing back when David Park knocked on his door. "Sir, there's something you should know." "What is it?" David looked uncomfortable. "I had our team pull the twins' school records, medical records too, with Miss Ashford's consent. She signed a release when you asked. And, sir, your sons aren't just smart. They're exceptional. Both of them tested with IQs above 150. They're in the 99th percentile for verbal reasoning, spatial reasoning, memory. They're genuinely gifted." "I know that," Seho said. "I've met them." "Sir, children that exceptional get noticed. By universities, by programs, by people who want to use that intelligence." Seho felt something cold settle in his stomach. "What are you saying?" "I'm saying that if the wrong people find out about them, your sons could be in danger.
The kind of danger that makes assassination attempts look tame. They're in Los Angeles. They're fine. Are they? David pulled up a file on his tablet, because I just got an alert that someone's been asking questions about them, digging into their background, their mother's background. And sir, the queries are coming from inside Korea. Who? I don't know yet, but whoever it is has resources, and they're very interested in Elijah and Isaiah Ashford.
Seho grabbed his phone. Get me a flight to Los Angeles. Now. Sir, Miss Ashford made it very clear she wants space. I don't care. If my sons are in danger, I'm going to them whether she likes it or not. 15 hours later, Seho stood outside a modest apartment building in Los Angeles, jet-lagged and terrified and determined. He'd called ahead. Veronica had threatened to call the police if he just showed up, and she'd reluctantly agreed to let him come. She opened the door looking exhausted and beautiful and furious all at once. "You have 5 minutes," she said. "Someone's investigating the twins," he said without preamble. "Someone in Korea. Someone with resources." David tracked the queries back to a corporate security firm that specializes in acquisition. Veronica was pale. Acquisition of what? Talented children. For special programs. Some legitimate, some... He trailed off. Some not, she finished. "You think someone wants to recruit my sons?" "I think someone wants to use them. Their intelligence makes them valuable, and valuable things get stolen." "This is exactly what I was afraid of," Veronica said, but there was no triumph in her voice. "This is why I left, because your world is dangerous. Then let me protect them. Let me protect all of you." "How? By hiring security? By locking us in a fortress?" "If that's what it takes, yes. That's not a life, Seho." "Neither is hiding and hoping no one finds them." He ran his hairs through his frustration. "Veronica, please. I've already lost 10 years. I'm not losing them to someone who wants to turn them into weapons or prodigies or whatever the hell these people do with gifted children."
She stared at him for a long moment. Then, "Come in. We need to talk to the boys." Elijah and Isaiah were waiting in the living room, and their faces lit up when they saw Seho. "Dad!" They said it in unison, like it was the most natural thing in the world. Seho's heart broke and mended simultaneously. "Hey, boys. Mom said you flew here because we might be in danger," Isaiah said. "Is that true?" "Potentially," Seho said, "because these kids were too smart for sugarcoating. Someone's been asking questions about you, about how smart you are. I don't know who or why yet, but I wanted to warn you." "What kind of danger?" Elijah asked. "The kind where people might want to take advantage of your intelligence, use it for things that aren't good." The twins exchanged looks. "That's scary," Isaiah said. "But you came here to protect us," Elijah added, "even though Mom said she wanted space." "Yes." "That was brave," Isaiah said. "Or stupid," Elijah countered. "Mom might be really mad." "I am really mad," Veronica confirmed. "But I'm also scared, and I don't know what to do." "We could go back to Korea," Isaiah suggested, "with Dad. He has security there. Or we could stay here with Dad. He could stay in America." Both twins looked at Seho hopefully. "I'll stay wherever you are. Korea, America, anywhere. I'm not leaving you again." "You promise?" Isaiah asked. "I promise. Even if your mom calls," Elijah pressed, "even if the company needs you, even then, you're my priority now, all 3 of you." Veronica sank onto the couch. "I don't know if I can trust that." "Then don't trust it, not yet. Let me prove it. Let me stay here and help figure this out. Let me show you that I'm choosing differently this time. And if you can't, if family duty wins again, then you can tell me to leave and I will, but give me the chance to prove I've changed."
Veronica looked at her sons, who were watching her with those 2 intelligent eyes. "What do you 2 think?" she asked them. "We think," Elijah said carefully, "that he came all this way. And he quit his job," Isaiah added. "That's a pretty big deal." "And we want to know him," both twins said together. Veronica closed her eyes, took a breath, made a choice. "Okay," she said, "you can stay, but in a hotel, not here, and you earn their trust slowly. You don't get to be dad until they decide you've earned it. I understand, Siho said, relief flooding through him. And if you hurt them, if you disappear again, if duty calls and you answer, I will make sure you never see them again. Clear? Crystal. And, Veronica added, her voice softer now, if you're serious about figuring out who's investigating them, I want to help. They're my sons. I need to know they're safe. Our sons, Siho corrected gently. She didn't contradict him. Over the next few weeks, they fell into an unexpected rhythm. Siho stayed in a hotel nearby but spent every day with them. He walked the twins to school, helped with homework, learned their routines and their jokes and their favorite foods. He hired security, discreet but present, to watch for any threats. David Park identified the source of the inquiries, a Korean talent agency that recruited gifted children for entertainment and tech industries. They'd seen footage of the twins at Sayan's gala and were interested in representing them. Siho made very clear that his sons were not available for representation, and the inquiry stopped.
Veronica watched all of this from a careful distance. Watched Siho show up every single day, watched him turn down calls from his mother, from board members, from everyone who tried to pull him back into that world. Watched him choose the twins, choose them, over and over again. One night, after the boys had gone to bed, Siho and Veronica sat on her apartment's small balcony drinking tea. "They're incredible," Siho said. "I can't believe I almost missed this." "You would have missed all of it," Veronica said quietly. "If I hadn't moved to Seoul, if Sir Yan hadn't thrown that gala, if everything hadn't aligned exactly right, you never would have known they existed." "I know. Does that scare you? How easily you could have just never known?" "It terrifies me," Siho admitted, "and it makes me grateful for every second I get with them now." They sat in silence for a moment. "I'm starting to trust you," Veronica said finally. "I don't want to, I'm fighting it, but I'm starting to." "Yeah? Yeah." She turned to look at him. "Don't make me regret it." "I won't. I swear to you, I won't." Inside, through the open window, they could hear the twins arguing about whether Pachelbel really did influence Vivaldi's compositional style and whether their debate topic was even appropriate for an 8 p.m. bedtime discussion. "They're just like you," Siho said, smiling. "They're like both of us," Veronica corrected. "That's the terrifying part." 3 months later, Siho's phone rang at midnight. David Park, which meant it was important. "Sir, your mother's in the hospital. Heart attack. It's serious."
Siho looked at Veronica sleeping beside him. They'd finally, carefully started rebuilding what they'd once had, and at the twins asleep in the next room. 10 years ago, a call like this had pulled him away from everything that mattered. "Tell the hospital I'll be there in the morning," Siho said. "I need to talk to my family first. Please take care of her, okay?" "Sir, she's asking for you now." "In the morning, David. I'm not leaving them in the middle of the night. Not anymore. Understood? I love my mother, the boys, and Veronica. It's important we don't screw things over again." He hung up. Veronica was awake now, watching him. "Your mother?" she asked. "Heart attack. She wants me there." "Are you going?" "Yes, but not until morning, and I'm coming back. I need you to know that. I'm coming back." Veronica studied his face in the darkness. Then she took his hand. "I know," she said. "I trust you. She's your mother, and the company is also yours, and a lot of people depend on you. As long as you keep your promise to the boys, we have no problems, okay?" And somehow, impossibly, after everything, she meant it. Before you go, this story wasn't just about a billionaire and a teacher and 2 kids who could intellectually destroy adults before bedtime. It was about the fact that real intelligence is knowing how to be kind when you have the power to be cruel. That fixing your mistakes means showing up consistently, not just apologizing loudly. That protecting your children sometimes means walking away until someone proves they've changed. And that standing up for people, whether in a cafeteria or a mansion, takes both courage and compassion. Those 8-year-olds knew something most adults forget. Who you are matters more than what you have. Thank you for watching. Don't go anywhere, and I will see you in the next story. You're amazing, and God loves you.
K. Afro Tales. The weak will become strong one day.